how strong do you think your willpower actually is? I mean, do you actually think that you can do something just through sheer willpower? Now, I've seen lots of, get up and grind, force yourself to do it, all those type of videos, and I think I've talked about that before. But the truth is that we only have a certain amount of willpower. And yes, we can build our willpower slowly over time by doing several things, which we'll talk about in the future. But right now, you have the amount of willpower you have. And in fact, studies have shown that if you are tired, you have less willpower. If you've been using your willpower for a while, resisting something or whatever, then eventually you're going to break down and you're going to cave in. And so willpower is not the way to go. If you want to succeed, then what you have to do is you have to build habits. Don't force it, build habits. That's what you want to do. So the problem with trying to make sweeping changes, like I'm going to do this and I'm going to force myself to wake up at this time and I'm going to work on it. The problem is that your brain is smart and lazy. Your brain does not want to work more than it has to, and if it can avoid doing something, then it will. So what it does is it wants to save as much energy as possible because it uses a lot, like 20% of your energy goes to your brain, which is a tiny organ really compared to the rest of your body, but it uses 20%, right? So that's a fair amount of consumption for energy. So it wants to keep that energy usage down. It doesn't want to change things because that takes a lot of energy to do so. So instead of making sweeping quick changes, the brain doesn't do that. It makes small little incremental changes, and the things that it has to do repetitively, it will develop into a habit. And then there's a pathway for it to go. It doesn't use much energy to do, just does it. So that's why you want to build habits, because it uses less energy and your brain is much more likely to do the things that take less energy than more. And it wants to get the biggest bang for its buck, right? Your brain doesn't want to have to do all this work and just get some little tiny thing. It wants the biggest possible thing it can for the bit of energy it's putting out. And so that's your brain. Now, it's totally resistant to change. It doesn't change quickly, and that's a good thing. Right? If you think that you want to change your brain like that, there's also those other videos that change your life in a week or a month or a day or whatever it is. Well, do you really want that? You don't want a brain that changes that fast, because then you're totally unstable. You want to have a stable basis to stand on. You can't build a house on sand, right? The sand will slip away, and because it's constantly changing. So if you have a brain that's constantly changing, then you can't build success on it. So it doesn't want to change, but it does change slowly by adaptation, right? It by repetition, continually doing the same thing over and over again, your brain will figure out, I'm using this all the time, make the pathway so that when the cue arrives, I can just do it. I don't have to think about it. It's just, it does it quickly. And it makes those habits so that it doesn't have to spend a lot of energy on it. All right, so you know that your brain, it's lazy and smart and doesn't change quickly, and wants to build habits so that it can pass off the energy, reduce the amount of energy that it uses. So what's your solution? How are you going to build habits rather than use your willpower? Well, there's a few ways you can do that. There's the logical side of your brain, which is the one that makes the conscious decisions, right? these are the decisions you make when you decide to set a goal. That's your conscious brain thinking, okay, I'm broke. I don't want to be broke anymore. I'm going to set a goal to make this much more money, or whatever it is. I'm fit, or I'm not fit. I want to be fit, so I'm going to set a goal to become fit. So that's the logical part of your brain. We'll do that. And to use your logical brain of best use, then you should do these three things. First thing is you need to model the habit that you want. We've talked about this before. Model the habit so that you know what the habit actually is. Write out an intention statement. We've talked about those before, because it will give you a much better chance of actually doing the thing when you're supposed to do it. And then repeat. Repetition, repetition. Have a cue that you know, and when it shows up, you do the action. And if you do the other two, then your brain's much more likely to actually do the third, which is the repetition. You have to be sneaky. You have to be really sneaky with your brain, because it doesn't want to make those sweeping changes because it's happy where it's at. So the only way to actually make those changes often is to start small. And I don't mean small. I mean incredibly small. So small that your brain thinks, okay, I can do that, no problem. And once you've got that small, then you build those habits. And when it's so small, your brain has no problem with it. It'll do it. The second thing, once you have that action that you're doing regularly and it's starting to become a habit, then you add to it. You just add a little bit to it. And your brain doesn't either doesn't catch on or realizes, hey, this is a good thing. And then once you've sort of developed those things into a habit, then your subconscious will start to accept and change your self-image because of your little habits you're changing and becoming. And once you start that, then your subconscious realizes, I'm a different person, and you can start to make those changes, compounding, and a little bit more and more each day, each week, each month, and you're off to the races. But remember, it has to be incredibly small, because it doesn't matter how far along you are on the success road, your brain still is stuck. It does not want to change. It only will change when it realizes that it's a better thing to do. All right, so your brain will change when you've provided a wanted reward. It's actually, you can go for that. It will change when you have something that's going to save it energy. So a habit that actually is a habit which uses less energy than the original habit you're using. This is very similar to the idea that James Clear has about breaking bad habits. Make it inconvenient, right? You watch too much TV, then put your TV in the closet. Your logical brain can put your TV in the closet and then have something else to do in the evening rather than watch TV. So that when you decide, okay, I'm going to watch TV, your brain thinks, is it really worth opening the closet door and getting the TV out and setting the TV up and connecting all the wires and sitting down and deciding what I'm going to watch? Maybe not, right? So that's why making it inconvenient, those bad habits, making them inconvenient, reduces the hold on you a little bit. On the other side, make the habit you want easy, right? So you want to eat apples every day, then put the apples on the counter. Don't stick them in the back of the fridge. Right, that's one of his examples he uses in his book. Great book. Go out and get it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's called Atomic Habits. It's one of his James Clear's best-selling book on habits. All right, and finally, if your habit actually solves a problem your brain has, then it's all for it. If you can come up with a solution for it in your logical brain, then your emotional brain, the subconscious, will actually take on that habit because it's solving a problem for it. And that's what your brain likes to do. It doesn't want to have problems. It just likes having things nice and simple for it.